Let's stop pretending. A lot of rehab in the musculoskeletal space does not work and is useless. Not because the people are broken, but because many times the approach is. And if you've been stuck doing the same exercises for weeks or months, you're not making real progress, and you know that. And I'm not here to attack rehab. And there's a place for it. But most of what people out there are doing is not going to get them back to what they actually want. To train, to move, to live without constantly thinking about what's going on with their body. And you've seen this kind of rehab out there, or maybe you've been subjected to it if you've gone somewhere for an injury. You might see a big pile of bands, a bunch of tiny little corrective drills, isolated movements, somebody constantly cueing you and supervising every single thing that you do. And it can have the illusion of productivity, and it might look technical, but there's a big problem. None of it is actually making you more capable after you've had a problem. And this is the only question that really matters when you're looking at your rehabilitative work. Is the work I'm doing helping me become more capable? Am I getting stronger? Am I improving my control? Am I becoming more tolerant to different loading parameters? And if you can't say yes to any of those things, then whatever rehab you're engaging in is not getting you any better. You're just doing some exercises. And your body needs some kind of stress to adapt to, because that's how it works. So if the things that you are doing are too light, they're too easy, they're too controlled, then you're not going to see any sort of meaningful, productive change. Surely there is a time and place for some extremely low-level drills, maybe some band work, but they cannot be the main course. And if you've been doing certain routines for weeks on end and not getting any sort of meaningful change, this is not bad luck on your part. It's not enough stimulus to drive any sort of adaptation. And this is where most rehabs begin to fall apart, is there's no progression. You get a bunch of different small drills and exercises that don't lead anywhere. And when you're looking at an exercise that you're doing, or even one that somebody has given you to do, you have to be able to ask some questions about it. How would I make this particular drill or exercise more difficult? How am I going to measure that I have improved in this drill or exercise? And many of these things, you can't have a good answer for those questions. This is because most rehab lives in this particular zone. It is just hard enough to feel like it is work, but it's not hard enough to create any sort of change. And now you are not training. At best, you are having some sort of maintenance effect, but likely you are detraining. And this is the biggest issue, is that a lot of these rehabilitative settings don't prepare people for returning to their real life or sport or anything like that. The rehab they're doing prepares them to do more rehab. And then you get really good at doing bands, doing exercises on a table, getting into really controlled patterns. And then you get back into your real life or back into your normal training, and your body has been detrained and deconditioned by the rehab, and you're not ready. And then the pain begins to come back. We're starting to see more of this shift, but your rehab is just on a continuum of your training cycle. It should include loads, progressions, measurable improvements, and it needs to be taking you back into real movements and not keep you stuck in performing some sort of weird loop of corrective exercises forever. Most people don't need to have 15 new things to do to correct their hip pain. They need to simplify the approach. We need something that's going to restore your range, something that's going to help you build some control, and on top of that, it needs to be something that can be loaded and progressed, and that's it. We just summarized rehab in 3 sentences. So if you can't do those 3 things, then the exercise you're picking probably is pretty useless. The uncomfortable truth about it is most of that is stuff that you can do by yourself if you just take some time to think about it. And it is going to be uncomfortable to hear, but what this ends up meaning is you likely don't need endless treatment with someone else. You need to be taking ownership of the problem. You need to train. You need to be consistent. And it goes on for much longer than you think. So you have to be prepared for that as well. You're not going to fix your body with endless corrections, with fancy drills and complicated systems. You're going to fix it by moving, getting stronger, building your capacity. And if what you're doing isn't going to lead you in those directions, then all it is a distraction.